Hey guys, I'm Kelvin, you're an audience, and welcome to another episode of D&D Stories. So, I haven't been uploading recently a lot, and I've already talked about that. I should be back to normal after New Year's. There's just a lot going on with the holidays. It's like a Christmas break, except I still do want to get videos out to you. So today I'll be telling a story from a 3.5 game where I was playing a character named Yes, or Yehudi Eldritch Swagton. He was a half-lunar. Lunars are like people from the moon, and they're really tall and kind of androgynous. So I'm a half-lunar, because they get a huge charisma bonus. And I'm playing a bard, obviously. Barding it up. And there's a lot of stories I'm going to tell from this, because this is from one of my favorite games of all time, and it's not even over yet. But a lot of stories are going to come out of this. But the main point of the story is at the beginning, may or may not have killed a priest. And to make up for that, I decided to help this one god, who was like the god of good. I can't remember his name. And the way I was doing that was there was this plague by an evil god, Morbat. And so I was trying to fight that plague. And so we've been working on this plague for a while. We go into this cave, and it's a dungeon, and we're fighting that dungeon, and there's this child vampire. This child vampire had drain level or whatever it is. So, like, I lost a bunch of levels for a temporary amount of time before we killed it. So I hate vampires. Or at least Yes does. He hates vampires because they wrecked him. So, we defeat that dungeon and we do a bunch of other stuff long before that's over. And, so we get to this, the south area we went to the south. It wasn't, like, based on the US or anything, it was just the south of that specific map. And so we go to the south, and I knock on, like, this church door, and they're like, "What do you want?" And we're like, "We're here to help with the plague." And they went, "Come on in!" And they open the door, and I walk in, and I see, like, these people, like, chained to, like, beds and, like, fighting off and stuff. And I'm like, "What is this?" And, like, it's the plague. And I was like, "No, the plague we actually causes people to turn, like, weak and zombie-like, not needing to be chained down." They're like, "Oh, we're talking about a vampire plague." And I went, "Oh, I'm sorry, did you say vampires?" And they went, "Yes." And I turned around and I walked out of the door. But my party wouldn't let me do that. And I kind of failed to mention that first dungeon I mentioned, I met who is now my wife. And she told me I had to fight the vampire. So we go to this fight like the vampire king or prince or whatever, vampire royalty. So we walk into this place. There's all kinds of, like, violence and stuff. We have to get through a bunch of vampires, and I may or may not have used some explosives to handle part of it, which is weird because I don't normally fight. I sit in the back playing my instrument like a proper bard. But I did a lot of fighting in that one just because our members were weak, because you couldn't use magic. Magic was not working there, and after a while we pick up, like, this rod, and we don't know what it does, but we have it. And I was like, "Let's break it." It was useless. We couldn't use magic. I might as well just break it. But another member of our party, the necromancer. So there was a barbarian who was lawful good. Which the DM allowed. That's not a normal thing you can do, but in this case he allowed it. There was a bard that was chaotic neutral, and then my wife, who I think had the aristocrat class, and she was also chaotic neutral. And then there was a necromancer who was chaotic evil or something along the evil line. The idea was that we were three different types of people bound together by this one situation. And then my wife showed up partway through. There was also some other guy, but he died, which we'll tell you in a story called I Hate Cloakers, but that's a different story. This one's I Hate Vampires. Then we fight all these vampires and things. We get into this one room, and there's this guy. He's obviously the vampire prince guy. He's sitting in, like, a chair, and then there's, like, this baby on a pedestal. And he's like, "Well, look who we have here." And then he looks at me, he's like, "You, kill your friends." And he tried to use some, like, magic spell, because he could use magic, I guess. I guess it was like some mind trick. But I went, "No," because I had a high will. And he was like, I don't know what I was doing anyway. Why would I get the weakest member to try to attack the other? He looks over at the barbarian and goes, you, kill your friends. And it works on him, so he swings at me and I start, like, trying to run away. And I did have things I could do as an offense, but I didn't. I was just trying to not hurt him, because I knew he was under a spell. And then he looks over to our necromancer and he's like, go kill that baby. And then he just walks over and he kills the baby. And then he's like, that's weird. I didn't even, like, try to do a spell. You just did that on your own. It's like, that's right, he's evil. His idea was that he just wanted to join the side. Anyway, and so this portal opens up and this demon comes through. And our necromancer's given up. Our barbarian is fighting me. And I'm just running away. And then I remembered something. And I couldn't tell if it was magic at the time, so I had to ask the DM. But I had gotten this bag from my god, Aldemara, a while ago, that has instruments that can just turn into whatever I want them to be. And he's like, no, that's not magic, that's just like a power by the gods. And I was like, okay. And so I grabbed a piccolo, and I tossed it up in the air, and then as it hit like its, like, max height, turned into a piano, onto the demon. The DM noticed that I did this and was like, okay, I'm gonna set a rule on this. Since you can't use magic, you have to only use each instrument once. Like, once the instrument's broke, you can't use another one. And so I went, okay, and I threw another piccolo up in the air, and I went, organ. And an organ falls on him. And so I just kept looking at, trying to figure out different types of pianos and large instruments that I was just throwing at people. And eventually the barbarian breaks out of it, and the necromancer is just listening to him blindly because he thinks there's no other hope. And so the vampire tells him to hand him that rod that he wouldn't let me break earlier. He's like, funny, this is the rod that's keeping you all from using magic. And we were so mad at our necromancer. I can't remember the character's name, I remember the player's name, but that's a privacy issue. Anyway, I eventually, like, reinvigorate the group. Like, we can do this because I almost killed the demon on my own and I'm the bard! And, so we're fighting the vampire, and I finally, like, someone trips and I use sleight of hand and I roll a natural 20 to pull out that wand, and I smash it across the ground, and the necromancer loses it. He shoots off every spell he can. I start doing everything I can. And then, like, the barbarian uses, like, his enchanted weapon, and we just wreck him and what was left of the demon. And it was beautiful. And then, from that moment on, I will never look at or deal with a vampire again. Because I hate vampires. I hope you enjoyed this installment of D&D Stories. If you'd like to talk about some D&D stories you've had, go check it, tell them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about you. I'll talk about it probably on the show. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, like the video, share, help me grow popular, and subscribe if you want to see new content. Sunday through Wednesday. Don't forget to share if you want to see me on Friday. I've been Kelvin. You've been an audience. Bye.